House to Home, brought to you by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
As we have come to understand here on House to Home, title is a short word, but it's got a very, very long definition and many implications for you if you own a property or a home. Good thing Liz and Gina are here from RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam. My BFFs when it comes to understanding.
We're great.
All
That's
things
great.
Okay, we've talked about title, Liz, a lot and everything like that, but there's a particular angle you want to talk about now about exactly how title, what bearing it has on the homeowner.
Well, we're asking homeowners, to check your title, find out how is it held. Is it held under your name, your father's name, your mother's name, or husband and wife? Check it, because somewhere down the road, let's say you decide you want to give it to your daughter or you're selling the property, title has a big bearing on whether you could transfer the title and whether you could sell it. So if, one example, I just experienced this recently, the owner of this property thought it was under the company name and was ready to sell it, and we prepared all the documentation under the company's name. But right when we're ready to, when they were doing the title research, they found that it was held in husband and wife's name. So what that did was it just complicated the paperwork. We had to do an addendum to make the corrections. So at least that wasn't a difficult fix, but it was something that we had to do just to make sure all the paperwork was in order. But let's say, for example, you wanted to sell a piece of property and it's deeded in your name, your brother and your sister. And let's say one of them passes and you figured, okay, there's two of us, we could sell the property, no problem. But then to find that two of you can sign, but you're missing one party, that party has to go through probate in order to settle that part. So there's one missing piece in that chain of title that is authorized to sign to sell the property.
Mm-hmm. Now, Gina, we've talked about this and the possibility of going to probate many, many times on this segment. It's something not a lot of people would want to do, but I've just got a question about exactly how the title should be stored. Should you keep it with an attorney? Should you put it in a in a locked box in your back closet at your house? Should you keep it in like a safety deposit box at the bank? Or
so when we're talking about title, we're specifically talking about the report that the escrow company produces to show the ownership and everything attached to that ownership. That's what we're referring to.
Right.
I think what you're referring to when you say title is perhaps a copy of the deed, right? The actual ownership documents, which is the deed. And you could store that anywhere. You could keep it with your attorney. I keep mine in a file cabinet right behind my desk at my office. But the more important thing to know about it is it doesn't really matter, because even if it's destroyed, if the deed was recorded with the government of Guam, and that's what we always do with our title, our deed, is we have it recorded. Once it's recorded, then it's public information. I can go get a copy anytime I choose.
So there is a backup copy.
There's always, there should always be a backup copy.
You have the backup copy.
Yeah, you can say that the copy I'm holding, that's right.
Okay.
The copy I'm holding is really just the backup copy. So it could be destroyed, it could be lost, I could misplace it, go down to Government of Guam, give them my name, my lot number, and I could pull a copy of that anytime I choose.
So now that we're talking about, how important it is to know the title and, to whom it is deeded or assigned, how difficult is it to actually get that information? How long does it take?
If you're going, I always recommend that you go, there are 3 title companies on Guam, and I suggest you pick one of them. If perhaps when you bought your property, you used one of them, go back to that title company or choose one of the 3 and go and order a title report. Because it's important. I have a situation where the transaction I'm working on, husband and wife own the property, husband passes away, the wife decides to deed the property to a family member. And so that family member, it's been years, 20-some years, and that family member decided, I'm going to sell this property. I know I'm never going to build on it. I'm not coming back to the island. So that family member decided to sell the property. Property sold. And then we get the title report. The preliminary title report is what it's called. The bank required it. The buyer required it. We ordered the copy. The copy was given to us. And on the title report, it said that the property belonged to the seller, who is our client, but it also belonged, there was still interest in that title to his grandfather, who is now passed. So he said, well, no, my grandmother owns the property. My grandfather passed years ago. My grandmother deeded the property to me, so it is only owned by me now. So we called the escrow company. They did their search, and they said, no, the property was owned by husband and wife, but they owned it jointly, not with rights of survivorship. So when the husband passed away, part of that, so let's say it's a 50-50 split, right? Husband, wife, part of his share would go to the spouse and his remaining heirs. Mm-hmm. And the only way to move all of it to his wife was to go to probate. Which they never did.
Which is what I was alluding to.
Yeah, so what else should we know?
Well, I mean, the key element is know how your title is. And if you have questions about it, this kind of leads in. We're going to be working with, taking a tour of escrow companies within the next few months and having them answer particular questions, also answering questions about what complications have they encountered, what's rare, what's common. We'd like them to share that information with us.
I like the word tour. Can I ask you a favor?
Yeah.
Can I tag along?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, we would love to be part of that.
We were expecting you to tag along, Jason.
Okay.
We wouldn't be complete if you weren't there.
I guess I missed the Evite. I got to go check my email. Well, thank you, Lisa. Really looking forward to that. That's going to be fun.
Yes.
Okay, so that's coming up. And what is coming up after the break is more awesome content, so please stay tuned.